Decision 2016 coverage now to local politics. We've invited the candidates for state Supreme Court, Milwaukee County Executive and Milwaukee Mayor, to appear live in this segment of our new newscast. And today we're joined by the Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, Tom Barrett. Mayor Barrett began his political career in the state legislature, served as a U.S. Congressman for 10 years, was elected Mayor of Milwaukee in 2004, and is running now for his fourth term. Challenger Alderman Bob Donovan was with us in this segment a week ago, but we're joined now by the Mayor of Milwaukee. Good to see you, sir.
It's great to be here, Vince.
All right, well, let's talk first. I'll give you an easy one. I grew up here, as you know, born and raised here, lived here most of my life. I have never seen so many cranes in downtown Milwaukee as we see right now. Is this part of just the natural new urbanism, or are there things that you're doing at City Hall that are making this happen?
Well, it's part of a team effort, and I'm going to give a lot of credit to our business community. Northwestern Mutual in particular has been phenomenal. The Common Council has been very, very helpful. And I think people are recognizing that it's an exciting place to be. And there's a lot of energy. And you're right, there are more cranes than we've had probably in decades in the heart of the city. And because it extends beyond just the downtown. If you go south on First Street, you're going to see 3 major construction projects before you even get to Greenfield. If you go northwest, you're going to continue to see the work that's being done at the old PAPS location. So there's a lot of good things that are going on in the heart of the city. We want to extend that into the neighborhoods as well.
Let's get to crime, because that's a huge issue in this race. You were at a forum last week and asked about car thefts, and I want to read you a quote that came up, and it was, "I understand if someone steals a car once, you can make an argument that it's a joyride. Second time, if there's no gun involved, you can even say it then. But you get to the third time, there have to be consequences." Shouldn't we be looking at more serious consequences for that first offense so we don't get to the second or the third?
Well, my point was, in conversations I've had with people in the court system, in probation and parole, they're the ones who are making that argument. The point I was trying to make was, particularly for repeat offenders, and I'm talking about the second time, there has to be a consequence. And as I went on and said, I'm not talking about sending kids to Lincoln Hills, because there are many, many issues there. But as I said at that forum, we're not doing these kids any favor, and we're certainly not doing the public any favor if there are no consequences. There have to be consequences to people who are stealing cars. And we are seeing an increase in young people stealing cars. And I want to have the consequences. I raised the issue. That's exactly why I raised the issue, was to raise the point that you have to have consequences.
Let's talk about your fight against guns. This is a quote from the President of the United States, who I don't know how many mayors he endorses, but he endorsed you, and he said he's been a leader in the battle to get illegal guns off the street. We did have the worst year for homicides, 145 in the last couple of decades. Is that a battle you feel you're winning, that you can hang your hat on?
Well, before last year, we had 4 of our 6 lowest years in homicide in the past generation. Last year was a bad year, no question about it. But we are faced with changed state laws, which make it much easier to have guns. And that's a problem. That's a problem that we're trying to deal with, and that's why I've spoken out on that issue. But there's no question that this is an issue that we are dealing with right now. And it's not just in Milwaukee. It's a national issue where you're seeing more violence, particularly the homicides, in a lot of communities. But it's something where we are putting a lot of energy. Since I've been mayor, we have increased the budget of the Milwaukee Police Department from $180 million a year to $248 million a year. That's by far the largest increase of any department that we've got in city government.
I wanted to get to one other issue. County Executive candidate Chris Larson has proposed raising the countywide sales tax by a penny in order to fund various things, including property tax relief, he says. It's not your issue, but it certainly would affect the city of Milwaukee. Would you come down on either side of that?
Well, I'll go back in time 5 or 6 years when the legislature enacted not a penny sales tax, but a half-cent sales tax. What I argued with at that time was, if you were going to have a sales tax increase, and that's going to be a decision the legislature is going to make, I want some of that money carved out for public safety. That hasn't been part of this conversation, but I can guarantee you that if there's going to be any conversations about any sales tax, I want some of that money to go to public safety.
All right, Mayor Tom Barrett, good luck to you on April 5th.
Thank you, Vince.
All right, and again, Mayor Barrett's opponent, Milwaukee Alderman Bob Donovan, was appearing with us in this segment a week ago, and we do have his interview posted, and we'll have this one up shortly on our website as well. That's TMJ4.com. Still